Got a lot of new people recently, and I just want to make sure everybody's getting it to make money immediately. To make money immediately, and I know sometimes it can be more difficult for some than others, and we'll talk about it tonight. We'll talk about it next week about slowing things down. So when I made the course, and the first thing I said when I made the course, the video course, was you used to be talking to me like this. Hello, I'm Rob Smith, the Black Quantity VTF here, T3 Live. And I was like, no, whoa, slow it down, Rob. I'm like, so you get it. Right? So you get it. And so there's a few things that we can do. And if you have questions, start typing them in. There's some things that we can do to slow time down. Right? You don't have to go bang, 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 bang all the time. Right? And one of the things you can do is you just stay on the 60s. Right? You stay on the 60 minutes. You don't have to worry about the 15s, 30s. And so today, like SPY and all and Qs and all that kind of stuff, meandering, doing nothing, right? Just doing nothing. We're getting bored to death waiting for tariffs and all that kind of stuff, right? But then we got the inside 60 that gets your attention, right? Whenever you hear this, that should get your attention, right? And so what a lot of people will think is right then it's going to be on right now. No, that means begin to contemplate and see what's going on, right? So what we did was we ticked down a little bit and didn't fall apart, all right? And you might be bored by then because you already went inside 60 and then didn't go. Well, once it comes back into here, potential rev strat back to the upside. So that means things are in motion, because anytime there's an equilibrium formed on the 60, on the broader averages, that gets our attention for the rest of the day, because that equilibrium is going to be important, whether we retake it out or whether we go back to the other side and take it out, which we did. We had the QQQ, all right, come down and didn't go inside, and then it did. And then it did it. Right? Here it went inside, and it went inside down, and that worked. Then went inside again, and we're coming off bottom of tight triangle. And then we got an afternoon rally, which was nice. And then in the diamonds, here, got that same rev strat setup. Inside 60, take it out, come back up, and then bam. So you can go Qs, you can go diamonds, all that kind of stuff when all that broader averages stuff goes in force. So one of the important things about the diamonds is that when you're new and you're trying to narrow down your focus on what am I going to watch, there's so much going on, and Rob's talking about 50 million stocks and all this. What do I do? All right. Well, if you pull it back and say I'm going to watch the diamonds and I'm going to listen for that triangle to him get ranging, then even if you miss the 60 break, right? If you missed it, so here it comes. Oh no, it's 15 and up, right? If you go to the 30, right? Breaks up like this on the 30, right? But what you had was stuff like Boeing, even after that first 30, was outside. That's 3-2. This was the second half of that hour. So you had 2 hours for the rev strat to set up. Then even if you missed that half an hour, the next half an hour you still had Boeing 3-2 above 346, right? $3 in a half an hour, right? So you can slow things down by going back, and some people will choose to watch the gapper list. Don't get lulled to sleep. Keep staying on the 60s and the 30s. NTETE. This is on the gapper list. It's not doing anything. Just bam, 60, right? Takes off, stuff like that, right? So that's just a few of the ways that I wanted to start off. So if you have questions, type them in. That's what this is for, really. Because today was so much going on in the morning. It was great. I made a short vid, and if you get to the T3 Live Facebook, and I talked about the F5 and the YY and the Nectar and the Win, right? Because we had Win, gapper list, in this 15-minute rev strat to open the day. This took 45 minutes to set up if you're just watching the gap list. Inside and down, it doesn't go. Let's say that you were looking for a gap fill and shorted it right here. Get out, right? Because a lot of the things you want to remember is to do battle, right? So maybe this goes 15 down gap and reverse and comes in, maybe it doesn't. So if you take that, get out. Because if you don't and you take more heat, there's no way you're going to take this back to the upside, right? And sure, Connor, and let me see, make sure, click on. Okay. Give an example of two or how you would have done battle if you took one or two of the trades that set up today. Okay, so yeah, it's like at this point it's a possible 3, but you're still in the opening range, so you can kick back and see if this thing sets up the rev strat, which it did. Right? Because if it goes up, we're already on the. You're looking at all the time frames. Make sure you're always doing that. Right now, on that gap, you're 3-2 to the upside on the weekly with potential 3 rev strat monther, right? Make sense? And so, like Connor, and like why? I mean, there's so many things that a lot of people won't short this thing, right? This thing's up 136, and comes down to here, and it's like 136. You want me to short it at 126? $10 lower? I'm like, I do, right? And you have to remember, this is coming into the lows, and so like something like Cigna, right? If you're watching the shorter term time frames, right? It's like what you're looking for is anything that pops up on this stuff. Oops, I got my can't thing. Pops up and repukes. It goes 2 to the upside, 2 to the downside shooter, right? And even if it comes back up on you, back in. Let's go to 15. Let me get a little clearer. Here, right? So when this thing's puking, anytime it starts to pop back up, it goes 2. It's like 2 back and back down. You're here because the reason you want to do that is because we know we're not going straight into the lows. 1, 2. This was a 2 down and up, but we don't want that. We want the time frame down, and then 2 back down because we know this guy's going to be long against this, and this, and take them out, triangle them out. Make sense? I will say triangle A out. That means you want to go take a look at that. Right? Triangle A at. No, not that it turns red, that it takes out this low. Goes 2-2 to the downside. These guys gone. And so if we slow it down to like Nectar, if you go to the 60, in the daily we're looking 3-2 on the upside, gaps up into the 3. If you go back to the 60 and the Nectar, here's what it did. Nectar gaps up and chops him up, right, and comes back in. If you're just watching the 60, no touchy. 2 down, right, no touchy. 2 back up. If this works, not only does that 3-2 daily go back in force, but you're going to take that. You look to take this out, which kicks it back into full time frame continuity, back to the upside, and you're already in down here, and then let her go. That's 109. That's 102. There's almost $6.50 off of that for doing nothing except going buy right there. As soon as it took this out, 102. 102. And this is the beauty of the 60s, right? Because I'm talking because there's people who are very good at this, as you can see. They're going to be on the 5s, 3s, 1s all day long, right? And once you understand that, you can branch out forever. You can be as much of a ninja as you can possibly handle, right? But I want to make sure everybody's up to speed on how to do it slowly. And then you can branch out in anything you want. You can see you could do this. You could be nuts on this. And so since it's always going to go triangle. Right, the triangle is going to stop guys out on both sides. Right, and that's why if you've ever seen something that's gone up all day and you've bought it like 3 times, but you got stopped out and ended up losing on it, that's because you're walking into the triangles. You're buying it at the wrong time. You're trying to buy the breakout into new highs. You get murdered. You want them to come in and then go. And this is not a soft rev strat because it wasn't an inside bar. This was 2, 2, 2. Right? 2 because this took out one side of the range. 2 because this took out the other side of the range. And then 2 back in the direction of what we know to be true of all of the other time frames and changing that back in, right? Let's see, I want to make sure I don't get too behind here. And Greg, trading the 60s is a good rule of thumb to monitor the 351 or that drive you crazy. If you have full time frame continuity with the 60s, don't concern yourself. Just let it go. If it stops you out, so be it. But if it doesn't, always needs to be an inside bar for a rev strat. But the beautiful thing about a rev strat is that it's a 1-2-2 or a 1-3. Has to be, can't not be, right? And so in this case, you're just following the 2s. This is a 2 up, that's a 2 down, this is a 2 back up in the direction of the 3-2 day, right? And that's why when you look at all the multiple time frames, it becomes clear as day, or it will, because that's why you'll hear me say to some people, they'll be like, that looks like it's a shooter or something, and I'll be like, no, I don't care if it's negative, we were looking for a positive sign. We don't want to counter too much stuff, right? Now, extreme volatility, yes. But you let them triangle them out, they will. And then when it kicks back into full throttle our way, we're in. Because what this does is it prevents you from buying it straight into the highs. By the time this thing went into the highs and took these guys out, then you get this little dinky do that would have taken you out if you bought it up in here. We're already in. Just let her go. Because at that point, remember, the strat is developed, created to create winning positions. Because then we can do anything. Once we're up and playing with their money, you can go nuts, right? That's the good part. That's why the stops are so tight. I don't want to give them any of my money. I want to play with their money. Then I can go nuts. I can say this is Momo Hammer on the 60, and I'm going to go buy more right here. Right? I'm going to buy more right here. Why? Because it's their money. I don't care. I don't care. Because if I'm right, now I got twice as much. Bam. Right? Yeah. We play with their money. Right? If I gave you $100,000 to go to the casino, what would you do? You go nuts and be like, don't worry about it. I don't care if you lose it. But have fun. Double down? Oh, hell yeah. Bam. Right? Especially because the casino's rigged. We should win. Everybody we know is a buyer. Get. Monthly guys. Weekly guy. Daily guy. 60 guy. Everybody's. The thing about time frame continuity what that tells us is that not only is everybody we know a buyer, they're aggressive buyers. They're taking the offer. They're not sitting on the bid because it's going higher. Right? Let it go against you? 0. It shouldn't go against you. 1 penny, 1 or 2 pennies. Shouldn't go against you. And if it does and it re-breaks, get back in. That's the thing about it. And I was explaining this to some guys in the office and stuff. They're like, how could you have such a tight stop? I'm like, because we're expecting it to go right now. There's no reason it shouldn't work. Right? There's no reason. And if there is, and if it does go against us, there's an unknown participant that I don't know about that I don't want to mess with. No heat. No. Because when it works, it really works, as you're seeing. As you're seeing the big moves, when they work, they really work. Right? And so if you look at like F5, look at F5 and YY today. Get yourself an inside 15er. Any heat? No. See ya. See you later. Right here. And boom. Pivots. Triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out. Let's triangle them all out. Ready to make sure nobody's going to be long. Bam. Took them all out. Right? And then Marianne was still in there, and she's like, "Hey Rob, how about the inside 30 that triggers the 60 hammer back up? Can I take that?" Sure, why not? We already triangled them all out. Hi Jamie. It depends on how much evidence. If we have a lot of evidence something's going to work, keep going at it. Keep going at it until it tells us we don't, right? Because we have a lot of evidence. Like I'm not going to sit here and battle this thing because I'm countering time frame. But during this, but during the debacle, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get in on this thing. Yeah. Okay. Small cappers triangle for you. So small cappers. What do we know to be true? Gee, I wonder where it's going. Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Now you stall out in here. How are we going to get out of this, right? That's what we want to know, right? So it's battling to try and stay the 3-2 week, but you're running out of week. And the problem with that is next week, if you get back into this triangle still exists because it's that. See? It's 3-2. It should just go to the moon. Maybe. You're still messing with a triangle. And when you mess with a triangle, boy, you better know what you're doing because you get hurt if you don't. Bad. Know what I'm saying? So in the open or first 30 minutes, we have 6 to 8 charts on the screen. How can we determine which stocks to really focus on, such as YY or F5? Well, Jim, like I said, when you pull up the everything, right? So I say F5, and I say F5's tanking, right? Right? Have I talked about it in the video? What or potentially what could happen here, right? What is potential going to happen? So if F5 starts tanking, what could it possibly do? Right? On the monthly, it's a slight higher high and back into this. Is that bad? That's bad, right? Now it doesn't go red until 148.81, all right? But when we start coming through here, do you think we can take it out? If we go 2-2 day, good chance we could. And if we're going to do it, that's what the condition it's going to be in 2-2 reversal, right? Weekly takes out the upside and gets back into the range for the potential 3. Yeah, we'll take that. So it's a matter of pulling up the multiple time frames and seeing what you see, right? What's really going on here. And when you see this, the slight higher high down into here, oh yeah. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Yeah, topo try. It's a topo try and ripping through. And that's why I say you don't have to try and pick the top of the triangle and try and short it up in here. It'll tell you. It opened on the highs and starts puking. Month, week, day, 60, 30, 15, 5, 3, 1. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so Jim is like I said, is like if you want to pull back to the 60s, that's fine, right? Because right. And so when I come on in the morning, I come on before the opening and I go through the gappers and say, here's what we're looking at as far as pivots and stuff like that to go after. And then as soon as we open, I'm looking for everything an aberration. So if you look at the opening here on F5. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, F5 getting clobbered. What's SPY doing? Not that. Not that. QQQ. Nope. F5. And that's why I have all these screens. And as soon as I see that, some people would never short something that's dropped $3 in 15 minutes. We will. That tells me that's the opening round. Dump me 200,000 shares on the opening, and then we'll really get to work. Dump them, dump them, dump them, dump them, dump them, right? And so that's what I'm going to focus on 2 night sessions next week, but also tonight, like I said, is like, don't take down more than you can handle, right? If you don't have the ability to jump around just yet, and you want to just stay focused, you can stay focused on the gap list. You can stay focused on the video from the night before, some of the research from the weekend. The Dow Jones Diamonds versus the stocks in the Dow is good, right? Because there's only 30 stocks in the Dow, right? And so if the Dow's doing something, or if it's not, you can easily see the strength and weaknesses within those 30 and look for the setups as we know them. But if you're going to jump around on all this stuff that I'm calling out during the day, you got to know everything, right? And everything matters. Where are you in the triangles? What are the scenarios? How much time do you have on time frame continuity? Are you going to change continuity? Do you have full continuity? Are they related to the futures? Are they in any sector ETF? All that kind of stuff. Because even when we were bouncing around in X, like on the 5-minute, when I originally drew this one, and I was like, where was that? I think we were out even further. No, it was this one over here. Because there are people who are so good at this, all right, that when they see a 5-minute like this, right, and that 60's green, they'll go after it because they know they're going to take all this stuff out in one full swoop. But they'll get out right here. They won't mess around after that. Gappers try to look at pre-market change, like how far it's gone. Yeah. Volume, no. Well, volume, yeah. I mean, volume to the point of, is it tradable? Is it going to be like 200 shares or something? Yes. And ATR would be more of, outside of ATR would be standard deviation, really. Because once you're really jamming them, it's oftentimes gap and sit. Doesn't mean it's going to stay like that. But what we want to know is, do we have more pivot? Is it reversing something that they thought before, right? Has this thing been puke, and all of a sudden the news is good, and it gaps up a little bit, but there's a whole bunch of range to go after? That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Bottom of the triangle, news is actually good, and they don't gap it all the way to the top. And that's why when I go through it in the morning, I will say exhaustion risk. If you're going straight into the highs, don't know, right? But if something's coming off a slight, some lower lows and there's still more to go after, yeah, that's what we like. And so it didn't gap, but this is from the weekend list. This is just an example of what I'm saying to clarify that. Like EXAS, right? It was in the weekend video. And you always want to be forward thinking too, but I was like, if this thing works, right? And this is really important because you want to know the strategy back and forth, but you also want to be able to look forward thinking. If this works, what will it create, right? Because sometimes it's just a scalp. I'm like, yeah, but if you're wrong and you don't get out, it creates the rev strat, which triggers the month against you, where you really get slaughtered. So in this, inside week to the upside, after the outside week, if this works, not only do you have all this stuff, like if this is corrective activity, you can come ripping right back through the highs to all this stuff. And it also has the chance to create the 2-2-monther back up to come after back to the highs, right? Okay. Wait for the first, on the 5-minute on the gaps. It depends, Joe. Not everybody's going to be real Strat Ninja that has like hotkeys that's ready to just go bam, 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 reverse, reverse, reverse until they get it, right? So you can look for a 1-3-5. If you have Rev Strat 1, inside 3, you can take the inside 3, you can take the inside 5, right? You're just going to have to be able to be fast to get out. And you're going to be looking at those longer term pivots, because they're fuel for the fire. But if you're going to be doing that, you got to have hotkeys and you got to be ready. Uh-oh. Everybody good? Make sure we're all good here. Okay. Okay, everybody else seems to be good. Okay. Okay, so if that makes sense, Joan. Okay. So every time it makes a new high or low on the 15, even 5, you draw a new triangle. I don't have to draw them. I could. Okay, Joan, I'll slow it down. You could, because it is, right? But like I said, you don't have to draw them and know how to draw them so much, is what I'm saying. You just have to know where they would be, right? So what I do know, because you might look at this and say, where's the top of the triangle? I'm like, don't know. But I know they took these guys out. And if they come ripping through this, top of the triangle could be taking these guys out, right? But what I do know is when I'm coming back through a range, I got the potential to go higher high. And if I go higher high, the triangle will come off this into that high, right? But I don't have to draw that. I just have to know that. Okay, Joan, so basically what I'm saying is, and getting back to that, if that makes sense, what I just said. Joan, basically what I'm saying is, we even if you're trading the very short-term fast stuff on the opening, you want to know where you are in relationship to everything else on the longer-term stuff, right? And I don't recommend that real bang bang stuff on the opening for everyone, right? You have to have hotkeys. You have to be fast, right? And that's not for everybody. But we will have a discernible bias if we have more levels to get taken out, where things occur within the triangles. Do we have more pivots to go after, right? So like win today. Win goes up here. These guys are gone. These guys are gone, but we can still shoot for some stuff like this, right? Now, if it comes back through, they can rip back through here, right? But if you go straight into higher highs, I have no idea what's up there because nobody has any point of reference to be short against, right? But if I'm short this thing and I'm going to muscle it out or whoever I am, I'm going to be short against that or that, right? I'd say, I don't think it'll take it out. I think it's just, false. So that's, if that makes sense. Also, Joseph, does that make sense to you? You don't have to draw them, right? You don't have to draw them because I know people see me all day when I draw them. They're like, man, like I'm very good at this, but you don't have to be like that. It makes it easier for me to illustrate it to you by doing it all day, but you just have to know where they are, where they would be. Okay. I'm going to try and get some more tech problems out here. Okay. I want to learn to draw. Well, like I said, hey, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, right? Because you're going to see them in the videos all the time. You're going to see me doing it for you all the time. Right. Okay. And winning position, yeah, you always understand. I'll be right back to you. Hold on. I want to make sure we get them all. Okay. Adding to winning positions. We're going to say this over and over to you. And Brian's here. F5 starts puking. Any way you can get in there, right? If it's full throttle time, like he said before, when I say triangle, they out. That's what you're looking for, right? So this is the 5-minute debacle, right? Rev Strat 5er. You're not going straight into the lows, right? Because in this case, even momentum pretty much worked. But if you continually go straight into the lows, eventually you're just going to create a triangle, right? So that's why you want to make sure they go triangle out, 3, bam. Here, goes into new lows, goes 3, 1, 2, Rev Strat. Because when it comes down, you got 3 pivots to take out on the downside. As opposed to going straight into the lows, right? An SQ, right? Always triangle the at, right? They'll come in, right? Because if you go, even though this measured mover worked, it's going to come in. Didn't come in on that much, but that makes sense. You want which in scenario terms, what you're going to want is the 222 continuation, right? The 2-2 continuation where it goes up, then slams back through it, right? Or the 2-1-2, the up, inside, back, down, right? So knowing those things right there, how to use the scenarios as well. So you want to get behind here. Make sense? And Intel looks like this. Hello, top will try. Here's your big daily triangle. See that? So you're topo try. So if you want to go down to the micro try, is that what you want? Okay. Did they triangle these guys out? It's still higher level than this. Here's your outside bar. So if you're really micromanaging, this is still higher than that, right? And we know that why? Because it went down, but it didn't take out the lows. So this is still, even though it's red, right? It's still a 2 up. Scenario 2 is to the upside. Right? Houston, if it's liquid enough, you pound that thing as much as you possibly can. Right? And depending on what your opening is, yeah, you can double that every time, depending on how liquid it is. Whatever your opening position is, you can double or triple that right out the chute on the second one because you're already playing with their money. And so long as the stop is still at a profit or even. And once again, you want to know where you are in those tries. Yeah, let them have it. They can have all they want. But you want to know where you are in those triangles. Okay. So you wouldn't wait for top of try to short win. We weren't short and win, it was long. Right? So, like I said, if you concern yourselves about drawing the triangles, you're going to see this. But anytime it takes this out, 180.10, it took it out today, 180.52. The try now looks like this. Like so. Redraw because it took that out. Remember what a chop this was? Triangle it out. Triangle it out. Now, if it's going to break through that, it could go through tomorrow. Sure, because you could have a full time frame continuity upside, it could do that. But anytime you got that higher high and that bar closes out, now you got your new try. Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Voila. Because it's now a 3-monther. Now wins a 3-monther. See? And the 3 is a try, is it not? It is. As demonstrated on your shorter term time frame, the daily. Okay. Okay, the FF 5-minute. Yes, Keith, I believe you're right. The FFIV, the combined one, yes. And that's why I always say look at the guts, right? It's still a combined one, but what do the guts of the one look like, right? So we're always looking at the guts. In here, yes. This was a 3 reverted to a 1 here, which is good. You know why? In Houston, you're going to love this. Because these two form a 1 on a 10-minute and a rev strat on the 5er. You can hit them here and you can hit them here. Boom! If and G fast enough. Because we got every reason to believe those are going down, right? Now, not everybody's going to do that because when you hit it here, the belief is when you hit these guys, the other guys will take care of all them, right? But if it's liquid enough and you can do it, oh yeah, you can keep hitting them. When you're already in the money, the first 15 mark bent your way, next one's starting to go your way, then reverses when you get out. It depends on how much evidence that we have that that thing's actually reversing, right? Are we trading with time frame continuity? Where are we and everything, right? Because you don't want to just be hung up on your 15. What's the whole big picture here? You're not going to let it go against you, I'll tell you that much. No. What's a good rule of thumb for stops on all time frames? The 1-2 pennies, Greg, because you see when these things go, they just go, man. They just go because we have every. This is why other systems can't do that. We have to give it some wiggle room. Do you? Because they have no idea why things go up or down. We do. We have every reason to believe these things work, and when they do, they really work. Right? And for trailing, yeah. So for trailing, depending on how much evidence we have, time frame continuity. Do we have a flip coming up? Are we exhausting? Are we taking out? Are we going into the highs? Right. What you want to be able to do here is, first of all, Omaha, check with me. Second of all, be able to not only have all your multiple time frames, but then be able to go to the PSAR. And it doesn't have to be a hard stop. It's just going to give you a general idea what's going on. Look at this PSAR on the fiver. Still short, still short. Should I hit some more? Yep. Bam. Still short, still short, still short. Right? Right? But when you pull that up on multiple time frames, it'll give you an idea of time, how much time is going to pass before these things are going to catch up to whatever's going on. Right? And so when you look at the longer term time frames, are we at exhaustion risk? Are we still coming through pivots? Or is the market going our way? All that kind of stuff. Right? And it's in the course. But what you can do is pull up that PSAR, and once it, let's say that you got short up in here somewhere, right? You got the rev strat here, and it comes up in here, it might stop it out. You don't have to stop it out on this. You got so much acreage on this. You can look at different time frames. See the 15er, not even close, right? You can make and say, well, if it makes a higher high in the 15, I can look at that. No, nah, nah, nah. Ew, inside, I could go back the other way. Bam, right? So looking at that PSAR helps, and check with me. Okay, good. Do you generally avoid the 5 cent spread stocks? No. So, Jimmy, what I would say is that it's not 1 cent from where you bought it. It's 1 cent below the bid after you buy it. So it's not a 1 center. Otherwise, thinner stuff, you can stop that immediately. So it's 1 cent below the bid, right? So not everybody's going to trade that way and trade those kind of stocks, but it's below the bid, not below where you bought it. I want to be very clear about that. Yeah, because they shouldn't hit the bid. Because remember, we're taking the offer, we're throwing a punch, and we expect this guy to go down. If this guy doesn't go down, we're gonna run, right? But we're expecting not only him to die, everybody else around him, right? We're throwing serious punches. Yeah, right. There's no reason. This would not work. Everybody we know is not only a buyer, they're taking the offer, and this guy gets in my face. Bam. Thanks for the cheapo stock. Here we go. Right? Can you go over PCMI long on how to get involved and where to exit today? Sure. So PCMI was a gap runner, then setter, right? I don't think Jim got the 3-minute Momo hammer. That was good. Yeah, the 3-minute Momo hammer. So I think Jim got that, which was nice because it goes here. 3-minute Momo hammer, pow. Inside 3, buy Mo. 2, 1, buy Mo. Comes up, then it can stop you out at least at that, and you can see the 3-minute PSAR catching up, right? And so at that point, it's a used to be somebody, but you're taking like pretty much everybody out of here, right? So you'll see this first 60. Right? And then we get stuck in that 60-minute range all day, right? So if you're a real gunner, right, off that 3, right, and it starts coming in here, one of the things you can do, this thing takes out a lower low on the 5, gone. Thanks for the money. Because I know, and once again, you want to be forward thinking, depending on how much of a ninja you are, right? Because this goes 2 up, 2 down. Now, if I'm a real ninja, I can go 2-2 and get back in right here, right? But my stop's dead even. Now, this thing is not thick, right? So, right? And then it goes 30 and 60s and all that kind of stuff. So, on the opening and something like this, yeah, you're gonna take that as soon as anything goes against you. We want that thing to go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Otherwise, outski. THO was a chop, but they got him good. So THO, what do we know to be true? It gapped up within general puking. Let me get on. All right. So by that I mean even though it gapped up here, you weren't taking out the month. You weren't taking out the monthly opening. This thing opened on the butt highs, right? That's a problem. Weekly, you're still inside. But does that tell me it could reverse? Oh, yeah. All right, still inside. Daily comes down, and that opening was a nightmare, though, for trying to get this thing off. Down, inside. It went down and then back up and then back in. Inside, outside. Here's your inside, outside per the video, per the course, 15er. This is no cakewalk. This is no cakewalk. I'll tell you that. If you go to the 30s, outside 30, ticks down, gets back in, you got to get out. Momo shooter 30 down, you could take that. All right. Okay. Just saying, that was no cakewalk. And so looking forward, logical that when inside the trade, the fear is stronger than logic. Right, and that's why you'll hear me say during the day, just learn to see it. See this stuff. Because outside of this, you've been trained in so much garbage. This is pure price action and how it works. And it plays out so much. Just keep seeing it and seeing it, seeing it. It'll become second nature. All right? Like Brian could see an F5 or a mile away. When he sees this, he's seen something like that a billion times, right? So when you keep seeing it, you can see your setups. You can see it like, you can see this triangle coming a mile away. And yeah, and you don't have to trade very much. Like I said, you see the size moves we're taking. You don't have to be big size. You can be small. Just take something. I don't care if it's 1 share. But watch it play out. Okay. Momo hammer gapping. Jim, that's not for everybody. You got to be fast, right? And you want to have those pivots to get taken out of, but that's how you would do it, yes. Momo hammer's got to go. And the reason the Momo hammer's got to go is I want to be very clear that everybody understands all this stuff can be explained, why this would work. What a Momo hammer does is this PCMI thing, like, I'm not going to go back to it, but it tells us that if anybody got short, they had a chance to cover and they didn't do it, possibly. And if it's full time frame counting to the upside, everyone's a buyer. So what triggers is the initial stops, and everybody's a buyer. That cranks the price, right? Because what guys who are trying to buy stock don't want is stops going off because it runs the price in front of them. Then they got to step up, right? And so once, and you don't even have to wait for that thing to close out. It shouldn't tick down at all. Yeah, stops and new buyers. It shouldn't tick down at all. The ones that really work, really work. They go out on the highs, right? Because what that means is guys that were sellers, everybody's a buyer, and the guys that were sellers are now buyers too, right? The problem with that is that if everybody buys, then you're at exhaustion risk. You go shooter, counters, hammer, and get destroyed. It becomes a crowded trade, right? It's good when everybody's a buyer. It's bad when everybody who buys owns. That's when it turns into a bad thing, which is why you have topo triangle risk, right? When we go into exhaustion risk. It has full-time frame continuity. Yep. You buying any more? No. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now you're a buyer who's turning into a seller. It's like when guys are long and they're like, oh, I sold my last piece on where I told you it was going to go. That guy was selling pressure the whole way up. I don't care what. I don't care. No, he was bullish. My ass. He was selling that thing the whole way up. Trim and trail guy was a seller. He was creating selling pressure. Okay. So target. What do we know about target? Target's still inside month, but red. Right? For the week, die. Topo try. Triangle the out. Mm-hmm. And then come ripping back through here. 2, 2. 2. Bam, bam. And now looking for these guys. You got these? These guys are a bit of a distance. You got that taken out. That's good. Daily, inside day and down per the vid. That's good. The objective of this was take that and that. Once you get through that, you got to go after this stuff, right? And you want to stay below that. Because understanding the objective of what things are is important. 5 minute. Okay, so you got 5 minute, 10:25. Right here. Okay, good. Then you got another one. Then you got another one. So the good thing was here. When you got it, you're coming after them, and them. What you got, right? Tis good. Tis good, right? So as it continues puking down into here, I'm going to keep watching the 60, right? Here. Takes that out, right? Now I know I'm an exhaustion risk when you take that out. I got some other guys, but I got this out, right? So I want to be aware of that. 30, you're right in the neighborhood. So the 30 stopped just short, and then that second 30 went down and took them out, and then started to come back up. So that would have been a first alert there, right? Get them puking, all right? Starts to chop around in here. And your fiver, if you wanted to totally eliminate exhaustion risk, right off the highs. Ding, 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 ding. Hammer, I'm going right there. Okay. Psychology on stops under the bid. We shouldn't be wrong, Greg. Me and all these guys against that guy, we're going to kick his ass. Right? It's like if me and all my friends come over and pick on one guy in an alley and he's not scared, right? We may have a problem. He may know something we don't, right? But as far as we know, me and all my muscles here right now, we're going to destroy this guy. There should be no fight back. Everyone's a buyer and taking the offer. How is this thing not going up? And we've already got a consolidation. We got a Warner, right? We got an inside bar. Or we got the 2-2-2, which means we scrapped a little bit. Guy tried to fight back, right? Right? But we're going to take him down. Yeah. So we're better off finding an entry in a move that is well underway than trying to look for inside bars or lows of anticipation move. Yes. Yeah, yes, Gil. That's why I say you don't have to draw the triangles and know where the bottoms and the tops are. It's knowing when they come ripping through. Like F5, you didn't have to be the first guy in there by far. But once it's on, right? It's game on. Like, I missed the top of the triangle. Don't worry about it. The triangle's, it's like, where's it going? Down here. You got all of this to go after. Right? No, you don't have to be the first guy in there. That's the beautiful thing about it. We don't have to be the first one in there. And that's when I talk about time frame continuity. When you look at noon and something that's not doing anything on the daily, you don't have to touch that thing. Or you look at Wednesday on a weekly and it's not doing anything, you don't have to touch it. We're looking for those bright red and bright green bars. Right? Chopped up the lows and highs. Yeah, don't do that. You don't have to do that. It's coming through, which is the important part. Once something is a potential 3 and it's coming ripping back through a range, oh yeah. So today, when F5 goes like this and comes back in, the weekly took out the highs and goes potential 3. Once it gets back into here, that's a potential 3. Right? Which it did it in short order. Right? So don't think you got to catch the tops and the bottoms. And the event doesn't work, just get out. When something doesn't work, just get out. Yeah, that's why we have the tight stop. We want to win. And it's like, when I've spoken Boca, it's like, look, when you understand this stuff, the game is so rigged in our favor, right? It's like being a football team, right, that can bet on themselves, right? And we can play any team that we want. Right? So we're always going to play the worst team in the league, right? We always get the ball first, right? If we don't score, we can forfeit, right? Right? And they win 1-0, right? But if we score, we get the ball back, right? And we can do that to them all day long, right? And the game ends at 4:00, and we can run the score up on these guys all day long, right? If they score on us, right? If we're up enough, we can decide to keep playing them. But if we don't, we can forfeit at any time. We can call the game at any time and just win. That's what this is like. It's exactly what this is like. Outside bars has supercharged things. You bet it is. We're trading small losses for big winners because when we're right, we're real right. Because one of the things that you're seeing from the triangles is we can gauge magnitude like nobody else. Other people will be like, if it takes off that level, it could go to there. They have no idea. They have no idea. Right now, and that's why when you're seeing these triangles that I'm drawing for you every day, we can gauge the magnitude. Where's it going? I don't know. Maybe there. Right? And if it does, we rake. If it doesn't, we just get out. But as you can see, over and over and over again, tis working, tis working. And so back to target fiver. So here, this one here, this fiver, 1140, 1140 down here. Going back up. Oh, it's a 1040? Okay, 1040. So you can hit him again. All right, boom. And if this comes up and tags you, the low of this was 82 and the high of this was 82. You'd still be at 83. If you got the, I'm sorry, you'd still be, no, 82, you'd be right there. No, you'd be right there, yeah, sorry. You have a tag, you so be it. Then yes, you could go into the Momo shooter mode and hit him again. Like I said, not everybody has to trade on this kind of time frame, right? But yeah, it would come up and tag you to the tick, and that's going to happen. Trust me, that's going to happen. Like Brian will tell you. Getting used to stopping out, get used to getting stopped out. Right? That's going to happen. Because if it didn't, trading would be very simple. Right? But because we know triangles exist, they're going to come triangle you out. By the way, there's your 5-minuter. Accept that, but don't worry, get back in. Right? And that's why you can slow it down. 60s, monthlies, all that kind of stuff. Slow it down. And holding on to the winners, too. Right? Oh, I'm scared. If you have every reason to believe that thing's going up or down, you can stay in. Make sense? Once again, we're doing 2 coaching sessions next week. 2, Wednesday and Thursday. Because I'm going to show my commitment to you. If you haven't seen it already. And the last thing I want ever is to get emails from people that I've never heard from that say I didn't get it and it didn't work and it works. We know it works. It has to, right? You just got to work with me, and I'm going to put myself out there to make sure you can. Yeah, there was multiple ways to get in on this. And then there's 3s, and here's a 5er up in here, and a couple trades live during the day. I don't have time, especially now. For me to show you me doing something, no. What I can do is show you what other people did when they post it, because you can see I know what people do. And here's the important part. What I'm showing you, right, is that's why you got to let them triangle them out. So here's the thing about this stuff. This is straight momentum. Boom, into the lows, boom, into the lows, boom, into the lows. This is momentum, right? That's the difficult part about target. Triangle them out. Green turns back red. Bam. Rev strat. Oopsie daisy. Bam. Oopsie daisy. Bam. Right? Knowing to have those shorter term triangles is very key. The difference between momentum and not so much. Not so much. That's how we use the triangles for entry, so you're not getting stopped out. What that tells you is you're at least coming off the top of a smaller triangle, right? If you're straight going into the lows, it has to go expando. It's like a 3-2. It has to go. It can't come back in there, right? But if it's not if it's not a 3 anyway, right? Yeah, and always check with me whatever you're trying to look and do, right? That's right, Team Up, is what you're saying. There is no extra cost to email, ask me to draw a triangle or show a chart. Right. There's no excuse for not having the whole 2s be successful. It's correct. 3 seems to create best momentum. Yeah, because what a 3 tells us is that the buyers and sellers are willing to pay up over the offer and sell below the bid or the previous range and sell below. They're aggressive, right? They're aggressive. And if they're aggressive, they might stay aggressive. Screw these guys. Like, get medieval on them. You thought we had stock to buy before. Get in there. Get in there. And if especially another thing that can happen in a 3, if I'm a big buyer and I was buying it and you cremated me and I panicked out on the lows of the try and I got to get back in, I'm really screwed, right? Not only did I tell my guy I haven't bought him all the stock yet, I panicked out on some of it, and now I got to pay up. Ow. Right? Make sense? And Raj, if there's anything else I can help you with, like live, like I said, talk to me. Because today I'm just laughing. There's so much to do, right? And if you get lost, you come back to me and go, where am I looking, Rob? Make sense? Wiggles, right? Triangles, and that's Sue. That's why I said coming off understanding the triangles really helps, right? And you can muscle some of that out, on, so long as you have longer term stuff that says there's no way this thing's really turning on me. Can you trade the first bar in relation to the closing bars from the previous day? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can trade those 60s right out the chute. Because during position squaring, they met the equilibrium, just like an inside day. Yes, you can. Yeah, that's good too, because I can give you inside 60s. The thing is, I could load you up with more information than you could even process. Right? I already do that. It could get worse. Is what I'm telling you, right? But what I want to make sure of today and next week, the 2 night sessions, is I get people focused to be profitable now on something, because you can branch out forever on this. You could be a total nutcase on this and have 100 people working for you and still not get it all. Right? On the 5-minute F5? Well, if you're fortunate enough, right here, inside 5 and down, if you're fortunate enough. Otherwise, Rev Strat here. All right. And if you're aggressive enough, you can still go 2-2. You can hit the twos. 2. You can do that. All right. You can go 2-2. 2, 2, 2, 2. You can hit the 2. You just have to know that it's got to go. When you go 2-2, it's got to go. Right? All right. 3-2. Rev Strat here. If I took the Rev Strat up in here, the low was, let me get my glasses on, old, 145.25. I'm sorry. 149.96. Damn, this one would have taken you out, huh? Because there's another thing you can do. All right, if you want to loosen it up a little bit to get triangled less, all right, I'm going to tell you what you can do. So here's the Rev Strat triggers on here. Instead of going straight into your stop right here, it can go after the 5-minute bar that breaks it, the high right in here, 150.19. I teach it's got to be 1 cent because that's what I want to teach. What I'm telling you is what you can do, right? Is that it might triangle back into here, but it definitely shouldn't take out the highs of this, the one that broke it, right? Okay. All right, John. Well, you'll just keep seeing it, and that's when you skip those multiple time frames and saying that pish posh on the 60, they ain't turning the weekly and the monthly and the daily red, and then you're just kicking around for the flip. This opening band sucks. We're waiting for the 60 to kick back into full time frame continuity. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones. Ah! Right? And then it's on again. It's awesome. Right? But when they get that conflict on the 60, just a bunch of punks out there. Right? And that's why you're seeing the importance of the flip. Right? A lot of things to shake up and change and realize what's going on the flip. And that's why if you're ever coming in midday or whatever, coming in right 15 minutes after the hour is a great time to start evaluating what's about to happen. right? It's like a new opening every bottom of the hour. Because once you get to be able to see everything like this, it does get easier to jump around a bit, right? Because you can be focused on when people tend to focus on certain stocks and just try and grind them out no matter what's going on. You have to know the triangle so well and be like, if I'm trading something that I know full well is going inside month, I'm going to be in and out and in and out and in and out so much. But if you choose to trade certain things, like John, you're saying these 3-2s really go. That's all. Just do that. just do that. I'm just 3-2, right? Because I like my bangs for the buck. Like if I'm going to have my tight stop when it goes, I want it to really go, and 3-2s really go, right? Stuff like that. So you can choose to just train yourself in a certain condition. I trade 3-2s the full time frame continuity upside. That's all I do. You make money? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And now I'm thinking about going branching out, right? But I don't have to because I'm so busy just doing the 3-2 thing, right? And then you don't get sidetracked by Rob talking about that. Hey, 3-2. I don't care what he says. I don't care about his inside and up. I want his outside and up. That's all I care about. And then when I'm talking, it's blah 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 3-2 3-2. You hear it, and you extract the information as I'm telling it to you, and you're scanning for it, and so you already know it's there. I'm just laughing at it as it goes your way. Full-time rev strat ain't bad neither. Nope, that's great. You can go bottom of the bar that breaks is on the shorter term time frame. I'm good with that. So long as you're willing to add, as long as you're willing to add, and you have full time frame continuity, you can give the stop a little more room. And the reason we do that is because I want your losers to be small. Always is always going to be your smallest position, and your winner is always going to be your biggest position because you're adding to it, which reverts back to what happens to people. I made a little. I blowed out. Yeah, you did. You're the master of the tight try and the disaster of the big one. Good, John, good. 60's fine, Greg, yeah. Once we got blocking, right, here we come. I've got my monthlies, my offensive line. I've got my weekly wide receivers. I've got my daily running backs, fullbacks, and tight ends. And my quarterback's a star. And coming out, here he comes right on. Here comes my quarterback. Yeah! Here we come. All right? Take some practice to add? Yeah. Most people have no problem adding the losers. I'm going to lower my cost. Are ya? Good, Pound. Good, good. Because one of the great things about having some experience is everything I tell you, you know exactly what I'm telling you. It's happened. And we're just reversing a bunch of this stuff. Good to hear. Because you can watch Twitter, you can watch CNBC all day. You got no clue. There's just no clue. Right. And now I'm showing you why. Right. Now I'm showing you exactly what was happening to you. Now we're going to reverse that. Right? Well, we're about like an hour 15 here, and normally I'll go forever, but since I'm doing 2 next week, there we go. Of course, I've done 15 years of garbage. There you go. That makes my day. All right. Would you address what you would look for in a swing trade? I was in a trade the other day that had green, but as soon as the 61 red, I wouldn't be swinging in this environment. No. No. SPY inside week, inside month. You get chopped up and killed. Not swing environment. I would say no. Right? It's not a swing environment. Now, there's the XAS, and as long as it stays your way, something like that, that's fine because it's coming through here. But in general, we're moving 300 points a day in the Dow. Last 8 years, sure. Buy and hold for all you want. So the thing that you're going to look for is where are you in the triangles when you're swinging, right? My pleasure, my pleasure. It's good to have everybody. So, market's got to be coming through the triangle. It's where it is in the triangle. All right, and we'll get to that. So, like I said, 2 night sessions next week. We'll be in tomorrow, and we'll have all sorts of fun, and we'll have the market wrap up and the weekend video and all that kind of stuff. And we'll stay at it. So, nice job. Thanks for being here. All right.